very good afternoon to everyone. This is Dr. Umema Ghazal. Today I am going to deliver a lecture on nanomaterials and its approaches. So here when we are talking about nanomaterials and its approaches, because everywhere nanomaterial you can find nanomaterials and nanotechnologies involvement in each and every sector. So that's why I have decided to deliver a lecture on the very basic things regarding the processing techniques, the factors which are very much important when we are synthesizing nanoparticles, and the different methods which we are using to manufacture or to process nanomaterials. So first of all, I want to start. I would like to start with the very much beginning. That is, what do you understand by the word nano? So when we are talking about nano or some small thing, nano, instantly one thing which comes in our mind, that is said to be the very small particle or material or extremely small thing. Nano basically is comes from a Greek language, we can say, and that defines that a particle or a material which is said to be a very small in size. Nanotechnology, when we are talking about nanotechnology, so this is a kind of a technology which deals with the size of the particles, with the size of the material which is present or available. And for this particular size measuring, or to measure the particles that is said to be your nanoparticles or nanomaterial, we are having a specific scale. That scale is said to be your nanometer scale, and that scale ranges from 1 to the 10 raised to the power minus 9 meters. The property and the quality, I can say, that of this particular kind of nanomaterial, nanometer scale, is said to be that we are able to measure as much as small particles, as much as small diameter, or the single strained hair also. So from this particular scale which is shown here also, you can see that we are able to measure from tennis ball to the one water molecule which is present here, and the range and the size of that particular water molecule is said to be 10 raised to the power minus 1. So in that terms, we are having different nanomaterials which are environmental friendly, which are having different applications in different sectors, and those nanomaterials we are using these days to enhance the research areas, having better applications in different areas like in agriculture, in biotechnology, in medicines, in every field you can see the involvement of your nanomaterials. Here I gave you some of the commercial applications of your nanomaterials, which includes that nanomaterials having the involvement in the cosmetics in a form of nanoscale titanium dioxide, in sunscreens, and in self-cleaning windows. Nano coatings, nano composites in windows, sports equipments, bicycles manufactured which comprises of nanomaterials, automobiles, and some of the nanoscale silica being used as a filler in cosmetics and dental fillings as well. Here are some other examples of your, or the applications of your nanomaterial are: they are very good stain resistant, they are having the wrinkle free textile, they are manufacturing, this is the one most important property. They are having the involvement in electronics, in semiconductors, in superconductors. There is an involvement of of nanomaterial or nanoparticles in paints and varnishes. We can find nanoparticles or nanomaterials these days everywhere, just like the polymers which we are having from the, is when we are starting our day from walking to sleep, we are having the involvement of all the polymers throughout our day, in everyday life. In the same manner, in these days, on the present era, we can find the nanomaterials involvement in our daily life as well. So here I gave you the rough idea, means from where we are manufacturing a nanoparticles or nanomaterials. Here from this diagram you can see that we are having the bulk material, and in that bulk material what happened, that we are applying or implying two different approaches or three different approaches and methods. With the help of that we are processing nanoparticles. So what we want to see and what is the difference between them, because one question arises in mind, that is that the bulk material, the particles which we are synthesizing from the same bulk material, then what is the difference between them? So the difference between them, the bulk material which is in accumulated form consisted or comprising of atoms and molecules possessing different properties, chemical properties as well as physical properties. But when we are implying different approaches, and after that when the result comes in a form of nanoparticles, so their physical and chemical properties has been changed. So those physical and chemical properties will give you an idea in which you can see there is an increase in its surface area, in its antibacterial properties, its hardness, its electron band gap, electric properties as well as magnetic properties. So when we are talking about this particular synthesis of nanomaterials, so nanostructured materials are also classified in a form of dimensional analysis. We can see by seeing directly to different particles, to different atoms, molecules and its structures, we can easily determine that this particular nanostructured material comprises of which dimension, 0, 1, 2, 3 or which dimension. So in that matter I am giving here some more example in the form of diagram. In this first diagram you can see easily that this particular diagram consists of spheres or cluster of molecules. So it means that it doesn't possess any kind of dimension. So it is said to be your zero dimension nanostructured material. When we are going or moving to the second diagram, that is said to be your, which comprises of rods or wires, so it comprises of one dimension. Means this is a basic analysis by directly seeing those particular structures. When we are moving to the third diagram, in which you can see that it is in a form of plates, it is in a form of films or networks, which gives you an idea that it comprises of two dimensions. When we are moving further to the fourth diagram, it is in a form of cuboid. So this kind of a cuboid gives you three dimensions. So it is a basic structural analysis by which we can easily determine the dimensions of that particular material, which is a nanomaterial, and we can easily classify the dimensions of nanomaterial by directly seeing their particular structures as well. And this particular modulation dimensionalities was defined by a scientist whose name was Richard Siegel. Now we are going to talk about the synthesis and processing techniques of nanomaterials. So when we are talking about the synthesis and processing techniques, so first of all, before moving further, I want to discuss a brief in that how we are defining different methods of nanomaterial synthesizing and processing. For that we have divided these particular methods in three different types. One is said to be your physical method, chemical method and biological method. When we are talking about the physical methods, so the nanoparticles which we synthesized using a number of physical methods are said to be that physical methods. And these physical methods are of two types, like we are having the mechanical type or as well as the vapor deposition type. These methods worked at high temperatures. The highest working temperature usually greater than 350 degrees centigrade. So this is a simple talk about the physical methods. When we are moving further to the chemical methods, so these are the simple and inexpensive methods for synthesizing nanoparticles. The highest working temperature are usually below 350 degrees centigrade. Large quantities of materials which can be produced by variety of sizes and shapes of particles as well. Now moving to the third method, that is said to be a very natural method, and it is the biological method. That biological method which is based on the use of your microorganisms like fungi, yeast, bacteria, or plant extracts or enzymes, or use of templates such as DNA, viruses, membranes, etc. So this kind of a synthesis is somewhat environmental friendly, somewhat natural, and least toxic. So that's why it is also said to be the green synthesis of your nanomaterials or nanoparticles. So when we are talking in general about the synthesis and processing of nanoparticles or nanomaterials, we are having two different approaches. You can see from this diagram also, one is said to be the top down approach and the other is said to be the bottom up approach. But the result or the output is same by these two approaches. Means the two approaches are different and totally distinct in their properties, but they are giving you the same output, the same result, that is said to be your nanoparticles. So before that we are having the bulk material, and after that bulk material we are implying according to the nature of that bulk material, because for when we are talking about the nanomaterials, so it is also divided and defined that the material which is in a solid state, we are going to imply top down approach, and the material which is in a liquid state or gaseous phases, there we are using the bottom up approach. So according to the nature, according to the phase of your material, we are going to imply different approaches. Here I gave you the brief idea with the help of this diagram, the synthesis of nanoparticles. For the synthesis of nanoparticles, we are using two different methods. One is top-down method, other is bottom-up method. The top-down method, we are giving the bulk material which consists of physical methods, because in that top-down method you are having the bulk material which is in a form of solid state, or the solid bulk material you are having. So for that we are implying different physical methods like arc discharge method, electron beam lithography, mechanical grinding, inert gas condensation, and different processes. After that you are having the powdered particles, and then powdered particles gives you the nanoparticles. For that powdered particles we are using the chemical methods like microemulsion method, electrochemical method, chemical reduction of metal salts, and different sol gel processes. So many different methods we are using. So here you can see the atoms or the clusters of the material, but they are also giving the same approach, so they are also giving the same result, that is said to be your nanoparticles. Biological methods, which I just earlier defined, that it is said to be the very environmental friendly method, and it is said to be a green synthesis of your nanoparticles. So the difference between these two approaches can be explained simply by using an example of powdered production, where you are having the chemical synthesis which represents a bottom up approach, while crushing and milking of chunks represents an equivalent top down process. Actually, often top down technologies are described as being subtractive method, in contrast to the additive technologies which defines your bottom up processes. Because in the top down approach, why it is said to be the subtractive method, because after this bulk material they are using different physical methods or mechanical methods like cutting, grinding, etching, hammering, and after that they are using different chemical methods for the processing of nanoparticles. So this is a kind of subtractive method. From the huge bulk material we are subtracting in different small particles, and then we are implying different chemical methods as well. So here are the basic differences between these two approaches or techniques which we are using, you can see at a glance that for which particular state of material we are using which approach. So when we are talking about the top down approach, in top down techniques you can see the starting material should be solid state. In bottom up technique, the starting material is gaseous state or liquid state of matter. Some of the physical processing methods which we are using in top down approach are said to be cutting, etching, grinding, ball milling, photolithography, electron beam lithography, and other methods. Here we can use physical and chemical processing methods like physical vapor deposition method, chemical vapor deposition method, sol gel method, which is a very common method in the bottom up approach as well. Now we are going to talk about the top down process or top down approach. So when we are talking about the top down approach, you can see here that the block or sheet of material, after that we are having the mechanical or chemical forming, and after that the structured material can be can be dropped down into this. So the top down method begins with a pattern generated on a large scale, which is reduced to nanoscale after a sequence of operations which is performed over them. But the major drawback when we are talking about the top down approach is said to be that they require large installations and huge capital, which is required for building their setups also. And these methods are quite expensive, and the growth process is very much slow, and thus these methods are not suitable for large scale productions. Top down approaches, basically synthesizing nanomaterials, use macroscopic initial structures which can be externally controlled in the processing of nanostructures also. So when we are talking about the top down, so nanomaterials which are synthesized by breaking down of your bulk solids into nano sizes, it refers to the traditional workshop or the mechanical workshops, where you can see the cutting, etching, grinding, ball milling, everything, and after that we are having the different kind of material which we can form by the by implying the top down approach. So when we are talking about top down approach, so top down approach are based on grinding of materials, and the part of mechanical device used to shape these kind of objects are very much stiff and hard. So these methods are not very much suitable for soft samples also. Traditionally, when we are talking about the top down, so nanotechnological devices have been prepared by the breakdown of materials using techniques developed by solid state physicists. And this is known as the top down approach, where you are having and will be dominant process in semiconductor manufacturing. Some of the examples are ball milling, sol gel, lithography, aerosol spray, we can say, for the top down approach. Now we are moving to the bottom up approach. So bottom up approach is the most common approach or the most common technique which we are having for the synthesizing of our nanomaterials. So when we are talking about the bottom up approach or the process which consists of atoms or molecules, you can see from this diagram, which are used as a building blocks to produce nanoparticles or nanotubes or nanorods or thin films or layered structures, as well as by processing or by implying the bottom up approach to particular molecules or atoms by having different chemical and physical processes, we are having a particular defined specific structure. So with the help of this structure, by directly seeing that structure, we are able to analyze its dimensions as well. Like here you can see that this is the first structure, which is in a form of a sphere of or cluster of molecules. So it is said to be your zero dimension. It possesses zero dimension. Here that structure which is said to be the tube or rod type structure, it consists of one dimension. The third one, which is in a form of layers or multi layers, you can have, and graphene is a good example of that. So it possesses two dimensions. That way we are having one more quality for the bottom up approach, that we are able to identify the dimension analysis of the nanomaterial or the nanoparticles which are synthesized with the help of bottom up approach. So when we are talking about the bottom up approaches of synthesis of nanomaterials, it also includes the miniaturization of material components to atomic level with further self assembly process leading to the formation of nanostructures. In the bottom up methods, we can start with the atoms or molecules and build nanostructures by the direct manipulation of atoms or molecules. So we can say that bottom up methods involve atom by atom, molecules by molecules, or cluster by cluster manipulation for synthesis of nanostructures. One more important thing is that bottom up approach is based on the principle of molecular recognition, or you can say that self assembly. When we are talking about the self assembly, so self assembly means growing more and more things of one's kind for themselves. And the idea of self assembly means shake and bake, is to gather precursors in random positions and orientations and supply energy to allow them to sample configuration space. So here are some, because every method, every technique also consists or possesses different advantages and disadvantages as well. So when we are talking about the advantages of top down approach, the major advantage is that we are able to analyze or having the large scale production we can do by the help of top down approach, as we are having the bulk material which is in a form of solid state, and here there is no requirement of your chemical purification as well. But when we are talking about the bottom up approach, you can see that ultra fine nanoparticles, nanoshells, nanotubes can also be prepared. Deposition parameters can be controlled. Narrow size distribution is possible from the range 1 to 20 nanometers, and it is said to be a very cheaper technique in comparison to the top down approach. The main disadvantage of your top down approach is that its broad size distribution, which ranges from 10 to 1000 nanometers. It varied particle shapes or geometry. It controls over deposition parameters, and which is very much difficult to achieve. It consists of impurities, those impurities which is in the form of defects, stresses, and imperfection can also be introduced in this top down approach, because there is the production, the area of production is large, that's why, and it is said to be a very expensive technique. The major disadvantage of your bottom up approach is that the large scale productions is difficult and chemical purification of nanoparticles is required. So here also I am giving some of the basic applications of the nanomaterials and its involvement, which I have already discussed. So in that you can see that nanoscale additives or surface treatments of fabrics can provide lightweight ballistic energy deflections in personal body armor, or can help them resist wrinkling, staining and bacterial growth. Nano-engineered materials make superior household products such as degreasers and stain removers, environmental sensors, air purifiers and filters, antibacterial cleansers and specialized paints and sealing products such as a self-cleaning house paints that resist dirt and marks. So the commercial applications have adopted gold nanoparticles as probes for the detection of targeted sequences of nucleic acids, and gold nanoparticles which are also being clinically investigated as potential treatments for cancer and other diseases. So with I am going to conclude my lecture. In my next lecture I just want to do the I want to give the detailed information about different processes which involve in the bottom up, means the sub processes and methods which involve in that bottom up and top down approach, as well as the factors which affect the synthesis of your nanoparticles, because some of the factors which we have to consider before synthesizing any nanoparticles are temperature, its cost of preparation, its pore size, its pH value, and the most important is the environment. So with this I am going to conclude my lecture. Thank you very much.